Welcome to Mindful Living with Nurse Stacy, where I'll talk about today the soul and grief, finding peace through loss. Now, this topic is not in any way easy to talk about. 4 days ago, my mom was actively dying, and the night before her passing, her breathing became more labored. In less than 13 hours, she stopped breathing. As I was listening to her breathing and being present with her, in anticipation of the last peaceful breath, I felt a sense of peace and quiet. I knew it wouldn't be longer than it had been. The Spirit of God taking her home. The reason why I say in anticipation of the last peaceful breath is because I was present also when my grandmother took her last peaceful breath. When I watch someone I love take their last breath, to me it was easier than continuing to breathe because they didn't have to exhale. It was one less thing they had to do, and that brought a measure of peace. Now, let me say, grief is viewed in several ways, and it can affect us in different ways. I have grieved, and I am currently grieving. And when I say I have grieved, I'm speaking especially about the kind that begins long before a loved one takes their last breath. It's called anticipatory grief. So today we're going to look at grief through the deeper lens of the soul, the spirit, and the journey of peace. Understanding grief before death is called anticipatory grief. I remember having a conversation with someone who had just lost their mother. And I began to share with them me losing my mother. And I was told, well, at least you still have your mother with you. At that time, I just stopped talking about it because I didn't know how to explain then what I know now about anticipatory grief. I couldn't put a name to it. I did, however, experience grieving with my oldest sister's death many years before her passing. So, anticipatory grief happens when we know a loved one is declining or approaching the end of life, and we begin to grieve in advance of their death. It can feel like living in two realities. It actually does. While you're still caring for them in the present, you're already mourning their future absence. Anticipatory grief is complex. And when I say complex, it's complex in that it doesn't follow a timeline. Some days you may feel acceptance, while the next day you may feel deep sorrow. It feels mixed. It feels like mixed emotions that at once, and you can feel love at the same time you feel gratitude. And in that same moment, you can feel anger or despair. Every relationship is different. Losing a parent, spouse, or child or friend may bring unique emotions based on the bond that you had with each of them. And a beneficial thing to note about bonds is there will be triggers. And triggers are so unpredictable. The trigger could be a smell or a song or a particular place. These different triggers bring a sudden wave of grief, even years later. It's been almost 15 years since my twin sister's spirit went back to God, and there are still moments when I think of her. I think about the wonderful memories we shared, and the sadness of her not being here with me starts rushing in again. And another thing to note about anticipatory grief is you lose pieces of the person long before they're gone. or you lose it along the way. Like in the case of my mother losing her memory. It could also be knowing their independence will be lost and even some of their personality leaves as well. You may also feel guilty for grieving too soon. I know I felt guilty, but I learned it's a natural way to feel and that I didn't have to feel guilty about that. Everyone grieves differently, and no one should ever be judged for the way that they grieve. I'll share 5 examples of normal emotions in grief. One is sadness. It's okay to cry and to miss them deeply. Tears are a part of love. The second one is anger. It's also normal to feel angry at the illness. I certainly did, and I still feel angry at the illness of dementia. You may feel angry at the situation, or some may even feel angry at the person who left them. The third one is guilt. Many people feel guilt, wishing they had done more or said something differently. If you're experiencing grief, you are definitely not alone in this. I want you to give yourself some grace. An example of that is on yesterday, I noticed my husband was sleeping way past noon. He doesn't usually sleep this long, so I woke him up and I asked him why he was sleeping so late. He told me he was depressed. I asked him why he was depressed, and he began to talk about things and situations of the past. On a situation in particular that made him grieve his mom, who passed over 50 years ago. He stated he was not there with his mom when she passed, and he could have been. These were feelings that came back after me telling him how I was there when my grandmother passed. And I referenced that experience to my grandmother's passing the same way my mother passed. Me seeing God take back the breath he gave them was something he wished he could have done. I had to offer him the opportunity to give himself some grace. Whenever you're feeling that way, just give yourself some grace. Now, the fourth one is numbness. Sometimes the body protects us by feeling nothing at all. That doesn't mean you don't care. When you're numb, it can feel like life is happening around you and not to you. It may seem like you're living life on autopilot. Days may feel blurry or unreal. And some people may say it seems like they are watching themselves in a movie. Some people can experience confusion and brain fog, having trouble concentrating, trouble remembering or making decisions. This isn't just mental grief. Actually, it's grief that impacts the brain's chemistry and the brain's cognition. This numbness could show up as just being downright tired, having a heaviness in your body. Numbness is a natural stage and it does not in any way mean you have a lack of love. The fifth one is relief. It's common to feel relief when suffering ends. That doesn't mean you loved them any less. Now let's explore the soul and the spirit. Now, the spirit is the breath of life, it's what animates us. And there's a biblical verse that says in Genesis 2:7 that God breathed into man the breath of life and he became a living being. Spirit is God given life force. On the other hand, your soul is the seat of your emotions or the seat of our emotions, which consist of our personality, our consciousness, and our eternal essence. The soul carries love, grief, memories, and connection. There is a difference between the spirit and soul. The spirit is what gives life or breath, and that life and breath returns to God when we die. The soul is who we are, and our essence, our emotions, our eternal self. In grief, it is the soul that aches, the soul that longs and seeks healing, even while the spirit recognizes that life and death are a part of a greater design. So, again, the emotional landscape of grief is sadness. And these are common emotions: missing their presence, anger, anger at the illness. I say, and I will always say, dementia sucks. Some people are mad at God and will have feelings of unfairness, saying it's just not fair. Guilt. Did I do enough? Or even guilt for feeling relieved when suffering ends. Fear of life without them or facing mortality. Just know all of these emotions are valid, and know that they can come in waves and not stages. There's a quote that says, then I just learned this, that grief is loved with nowhere to go. The soul is the very seat of our emotions, and it is stretched by grief, but it can also be deepened and softened by it. So, how can we move forward or move through grief with peace? You can allow yourself to feel, but don't push grief away. Some rituals you can do for soul or for the soul is journaling or praying, lighting a candle, or just sitting in nature. Community and sharing, like I'm doing right now, talking about the memories of your loved one. My mother was so loving, so giving. I can't count how many people loved my mom because she was so supportive, so caring and loving. I was so happy to share my mom with so many people. In a community, you can cry together and you can be focused on not isolating yourself. Another way you can move through grief with peace is faith, having faith and meaning, leaning on spiritual truths and understanding that death is not the end, that the soul continues. Peace through acceptance. Peace doesn't mean absence of tears. Peace means trusting the process, knowing that love remains. Helping each other through grief is something that is very powerful. And some tips for supporting one another could be just being present. It could just be silence. Silence can be more healing than words. Don't rush someone else's grief. Small acts of kindness matter, like preparing meals or bringing meals, a simple phone call, or just sitting together with them. Just the other day, I had three beautiful, caring friends sit with me and my brother and just talk about whatever it is we wanted to talk about. And that was so helpful. So when you share your grief, it can build deeper bonds. Family and community become a container for healing. Now, again, the difference between the soul and the spirit is God's life breath that animates us. The soul is our eternal essence that feels, grieves, and loves. I want to encourage all listeners and say that grief doesn't mean forgetting. It means carrying love forward. I'll give you 7 ways on how you can carry love forward through grief. One of the ways that you can carry love forward through grief is living the values that they carry. You can take the lessons they taught you, take the values they gave you, or the wisdom they shared with you, and live them out in your daily life. Examples of that would look like if your loved one was kind, to strangers. Practicing kindness in their honor deepens or helps keep their love alive in you. The second one could be you can use rituals like remembering them in the sense of lighting a candle. That is very profound in my way. Seeing a candlelight, or you can do that on their birthday, or cook their favorite meal, or visit a place you once shared together. These acts become sacred reminders that love still exists beyond death. The third one could be storytelling and legacy. Share their stories with your children or your grandchildren or friends or in a community. Love continues through memory and the way we keep their present alive in our conversations. The fourth one is creative expressions. And I know people like to do this in the ways of writing or painting or sing or create something inspired by them. Art and creativity can transform grief into something healing and lasting. The fifth one being service and compassion. You can channel your grief into helping others by volunteering, supporting those in similar pain, or contributing to a cause your loved one cared about. Giving in their name allows their love to keep rippling outward. The sixth one is spiritual connection. Many find peace in believing the soul endures and that love is eternal. And the seventh one being prayer and meditation or mindful reflection can keep that bond alive in a way that transcends physical presence. So even in the valley of grief, your soul can find peace because love never dies. Now, I want to guide you through a meditation reflection. Just sitting with grief and resting in the soul. Just take a moment and take a deep breath inward. Take the deep breath in and let it go. Do that one more time. A deep breath in and slowly release. And as you release the breath, allow yourself or allow your body to just soften. Allow your shoulders to lower and your jaws to unclench. Your hands to just rest. Now gently bring to mind the one you are grieving. See their face or simply feel their presence. Notice what arises in your heart, whether it is sadness, love, longing, or peace. There is no right or wrong. Just notice. With each breath, imagine that you are holding their memory in a space of love. You don't need to fix anything. You don't need to do anything. You don't need to understand everything. Just allow love to surround you both. While you're allowing that love to surround you both, remember this truth. The Spirit is the breath of life that returns to God. The soul is eternal, the place where love lives on. Even though their body has changed, their soul is not lost. And your soul still carries that bond you share. Now breathe in peace and breathe out, release. Breathe in comfort and breathe out heaviness. Breathe in love and breathe out love. Take a moment to silently whisper a word of gratitude for their life. It may be as simple as saying, "Thank you. Thank you for loving me." Or "Thank you for being a part of my journey." Feel the stillness in your soul, in your emotions. Know that grief is love and love never dies. Love never dies. Love never dies. So when you are ready, place your hand gently over your heart. Breathe in one last time, a deep breath. And as you exhale, trust that you and your loved one are both being held in peace. Let the peace of God rest, rule, and abide in you. I want to thank you for being here with me as I grieve my dearly loved mother's transition. She holds a sacred, irreplaceable place in my heart. And I want to invite you to and describe what you're experiencing in the comments, or support someone by sharing this with someone you know is grieving. And until next time, remember, find peace through grief by moving forward in love.